Donald Trump just issued a 10-step plan to take on the deep state. And I like actually a lot of the ideas. One idea I didn't like, well, he was sitting there saying that we need to make America great again. No. He says he wants to stop the leaks. Major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately create false narratives to subvert our government and our democracy. I understand loose lips sink ships, but don't be a corrupt and malicious piece of shit. If you're not a malicious and corrupt piece of shit, then what the hell could a whistleblower even fucking blow the whistle on? If you're not a malicious, corrupt piece of shit, instead of saying, hey, it's the leaker's fault, it's the whistleblower's fault, don't be a malicious, corrupt piece of shit. Then you'll have no problem with whistleblowers. They'll say, hey, I got something to say. Yeah, go ahead. He was very much efficient and professional and upright and moral and lawful. He upheld the Constitution. So here is the 10-step procedure of Donald Trump's plan to dismantle the deep state. That was the only criticism that I had. So actually I like a lot of this stuff. So how are we going to dismantle the deep state, America? Donald's going to reissue the 2020 executive order, which restores the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats. Okay, so absolute power, huh? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Clean out all the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus. Now that's exciting. Totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly don't even care when they're lied to when it comes to the warrant lists, the spy, the tapping, the Fourth Amendment infringements, the warrantless wiretaps. Well, you ask the FISA court judge about what's going on. Who gives a shit, huh? Expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart. What are all the intelligence agencies in America? The Air Force intelligence, the Army intelligence, the CIA, the Coast Guard intelligence, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of Energy. Why is the Department of Energy? All right. Department of Homeland Security, the Department of State, the Department of the Treasury, the DEA, the FBI, the Marine Corps Intelligence, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, National Security Agents, the Naval Intelligence, and the Space Force Intelligence. What about the ATF? So I like that he's actually taking on the intelligence agencies. I like that he's doing that. He's basically taking on the FBI. He's taking on the cops and the courts of the federal government. So the FISA courts do need to be reformed. The FBI told Martin Luther King to kill himself. The FBI killed Fred Hampton. Make every Inspector General's office independent, physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure that they're not spying on American citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people. Or they're not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on Donald's campaign. Continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. Pass a constitutional amendment to oppose term limits on members of Congress. No, we need term limits on members of Congress. Okay, so I got two criticisms of his top 10. Why would you be against term limits? You have people in Congress that have been in there for 30 fucking years. We need new blood. You got the establishment, the elitist, the institutional bias. They already got the donors lined up. They already get the fucking money in the coffers. So anybody that's, new, or what have you done? Well, I'm just a citizen trying to, gain power. Well, they've been the judge forever, and I'm going to kiss the judge's ass. They've been Lauren Boebert's been the representative forever. Nancy Pelosi has always been our representative. Why would we throw her out? Because she's old as shit. She's not doing anything. She's using her establishment and institutional bias to maintain power. How come our entire political leadership's a bunch of fucking old-ass fossils? Because there's no term limits? Push a constitutional amendment to oppose term limits on members of Congress? There's no term limits on members of Congress. And to push a constitutional amendment, we haven't passed a fucking amendment since, 1992? Yeah, you're not going to get a constitutional amendment in America unless it's like a big, important issue that Americans agree on. I think a right to privacy, maybe an economic Bill of Rights, maybe just repass the Bill of Rights. Maybe have a constitutional amendment that says the Bill of Rights are actually the freedoms that we all have and it's lawful and it's legal. That's the law. So that's what I think about Donald Trump's 10-step plan on dismantling the deep state. Man, I thought he was for term limits. Fuck. You gotta really pay attention to that asshole. It's like you want him to say the right things, but then he don't.